Exciting news. I want to give you a gift for listening today. We're going to be talking about fat loss a lot, and I understand fat loss is probably one of the most complicated subjects in fitness and health, and it really does not need to be. Kyle worked tirelessly. He made a 33-page guide, basically just giving you everything you need to know, and we just want to give that away to you because we believe you shouldn't be confused, and the info isn't difficult. It's the implementation that's usually a little bit tougher, but we want to give that to you totally free. So if you haven't grabbed that, the way to get it, follow us on Instagram at @ClossesFit. That's all we ask, is a little bit of a follow so you can get more amazing free tips and content from us. And then DM me saying fat loss guide. I'll send that right over to you. No exceptions, no contingencies, totally free. And that's going to break down exactly how you need to lose fat, how to approach it, science-based ways to make that happen without struggling. So once again, message me fat loss guide on Instagram to @ClossesFit to get your free guide to remove the confusion. Now let's jump into a jam-packed episode. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all Happy podcast. I'm your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
And this is Motivation Monday. We're going to kickstart this incredible episode by answering our primary question, which we're actually going to make a whole episode on, but we figured it'd be a really great discussion piece. So there should be some amazing banter and debate about that. And that is actually going to be, what is the best cardio for fat loss? So we're really excited for that. Then from there, we're going to go ahead and share some of our favorite quotes, share what's on our mind, share what's making us happy, where we're at in our journey, and just let you guys behind the curtain a little bit about where we're at with our mentality, our fitness, our mindset. So that's going to be absolutely amazing. From there, we're going to showcase a client who was struggling, who's succeeding, give you their secrets as to how they did that. And then of course, we're going to jump back in the mailbag to finish out this week's episode. So a jam-packed, incredible episode ahead. Grab some coffee, sit back and enjoy it. And we're going to jump into the primary question, which once again is, what is the best cardio for fat loss in your guys' opinion? And me and Kyle talking about this one in advance, and we figured maybe let's start by saying what our personal favorite is, and then from there let's go into what we think the best is, and then let's go into some other options. So what's your personal favorite?
I'm going to say for me, it's just simply walking and sports. And the main reason is just simply because I feel like I really enjoy it. It's something that it doesn't feel like it's taken away from my life. It's not something that I have to get any willpower for. I could just do it consistently, like an hour walk every day. I look forward to. It's exciting for me. It's chill. And then sports, anything between beach volleyball, hockey, anything like that. It's just so fun and exciting. So those are my personal favorites that I do pretty consistently.
Yeah, for me, it unfortunately has to be walking as well. And I've done this quite a while, and people will say, what cardio do you do? You're so shredded. And walking's tough because obviously it takes more time to see a big output from it. But usually I'll just try and get my deficit through my calories and less through cardio. I find the whole mindset of using cardio for fat loss is a slippery slope because it's very easy to eat that back. Even after volleyball yesterday, we played Apple Watch. I burned like 1,200 calories. One of our clients came and subbed for us, which was amazing. I was joking to him and Kyle. I'm like, oh, that means I can eat 1,200 calories, right? And if you don't get the joke, that's a question we get asked quite often. People will say, hey, can I eat back one for one those calories? But oftentimes these watches are already inaccurate. By eating it back, you're basically netting out all that activity you did, and you'll often end up eating more, and it can become a detriment. And that's where I find it can be a little bit difficult once you get in that mindset of, ooh, eating back your calories. And just so you know, this isn't something I practice. I actually hit my macros dead on the head. I made sure I had enough fuel to fuel me for volleyball, and then I ate a little bit later. The exception would be if you're doing truly excessive amounts of cardio, like think marathons, crazy triathlons, like things where you are burning thousands upon thousands of calories, not just general sports within the week, but those are something I like to utilize and get a good sweat in and get a higher level of cardio in to burn some more fat, if you will, or burn some more calories that will support my cut. But in general, I practice walking. I find regulating steps to be the best form of cardio for me because you can regulate your activity. If you're at like 4K steps a day, you can move that up to 6, and you would naturally have more expenditure and you'd have more of an opportunity to burn fat if you kept your calories the same. Like I said, the detriment with cardio is there's always that temptation to eat it back because your body's not dumb. It's like, hey, I burned these calories. I want them back. I don't want to be starving. I need energy. So that's where cardio is tough, and I recommend getting most of your fat loss from your calories and really approaching that there. Saying so, that me and Kyle the same answer. I guess I'll move into the second portion of the question, which is what I think the best form of cardio is. And the honest answer is the one you'll do most consistently. And it's not a sexy answer, but it is the truth. So whatever you actually will do the most, like if you just love I don't know, gardening. Gardening can be killer. Like I did it the other day. I was dying. I was sweating like a pig, ripping out all these weeds. Like didn't necessarily enjoy it, but it was like a good extra cardio. But like if you love your garden, you hustle in there and that's what you do, it's not to say you need to do something more sport focused. Like any form of activity will absolutely work. Like even I'll jump on the trampoline with my son. It's exhausting. Like different things you can find, but it's something you need to do regularly and something that you can aim to like ramp up if need be. So in my coaching, usually I'll assign a specific amount of cardio, and as we enter a deeper cut, if the individual has more opportunity to do more cardio, I'll begin to ramp that up. But outside of that, like if there's one machine or form of cardio I think is the best, outside of that, like if you just said, hey, pick something for me, I don't care what you say, I'll do it, I'd say Stairmaster. And I don't do it enough myself. I have previously when I need to cut, but there's just no hiding on a Stairmaster. Like especially if you have your hands off the machine, it just is exhausting. I think it's a fantastic motion, right? You're getting a lot of your body involved and you have to power up through those steps. And I just think like in 10 minutes of Stairmaster, you can burn some serious calories, feels great. The endorphins are there and absolutely carries like a long way. So that's something I will prescribe a lot of the time. People want to get really lean. I'll be like, befriend the Stairmaster. And there's like all these funny memes. And it's like, I don't fear the guy that can deadlift 600 pounds. I fear the girl that can be on the Stairmaster for an hour. And I kind of have to agree. Like if you're doing 30 minutes plus a Stairmaster, like you're an animal or someone hurt you or something. Cause it's really hard, especially at a good intensity. And if your hands are off, like there's no hiding. You can walk on a treadmill or an elliptical and it doesn't feel too bad. But I do find if you want like a dedicated cardio to really shred out, I will prescribe some Stairmaster, and I've had some success there, and something I recommend. It's not to say it's any better, because if I prescribe you the Stairmaster, you never do it. You do it once a month. Whereas the person who loves gardening is like, I'm going to garden more. It's like my hobby and I'll burn some calories while I do it. They'll see more of an effect if that's something they're like progressively doing, even though it's not a true form of cardio, if that makes sense. So it's all energy balance, right? It's intake, outtake. So CECO, calories in, calories out. And cardio is a tool you can use. The caveat is there's more fatigue and evidently you can become more hungry. So that's where it needs to be a tool used intelligently and specifically for your situation. But that's probably like a fun one I'd say is the best. What would you say, Kyle?
Yeah, Stairmaster is also great just because it also strengthens your lower body. It's a very practical movement. When you think of like the consistent stepping, it's something that you're going to do every day, so it gets you better at very practical movements. It's low impact, so I would say that that is definitely up there for one of the greatest. Like I know a lot of our women in our program, they absolutely love it to use as their cardio protocol, but my answer is the exact same. It's funny, like as Josh was saying it, I'm like, that's the exact answer I was gonna have, is just like the one you'll consistently do. So even like I think running is cool, like you feel great, like the endorphins, the runner's high, but I just know, and I talked about this recently, just the willpower that it's required for a lot of people to do it. It's tough. Same with even high intensity classes and like specific HIIT protocols, let's say battle ropes. Like I used to love doing that growing up. I would do like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off consistently, but then it was tough because it would affect my upper body days. And anything that's going to take away from like your overall, either your strength training or force you to eat more and come out of a deficit, it's not exactly going to be the most ideal. And that's where, even for me personally, I would rather do a walk every morning and then every afternoon/night. To me, that's just a lot better, because although I love the gym, I don't want to be in there for hours on end. So when I go to the gym, I'm there to strength train. I get a good warm up going, mobility, and then a little bit of the sauna and whatnot. So I feel like when I have to be in there for an extra 30, 45 minutes or whatever to, like, let's say stretch and do some extra cardio and be on a machine, I genuinely don't enjoy it. Like I don't really enjoy using cardio machines in the gym. Whereas if you were to say, hey, go play some volleyball on the beach or go for your consistent walks, I will do that any day of the week. So a lot of it just comes down to what you're going to consistently do. But there are a lot of other things to consider, right? Even for some people, swimming could be great. And I love it because it's low impact and it's just obviously very hard, very challenging. I know Josh enjoys swimming as well, but you have to also think like it's hard to get access to, right? There's not that many places where you're going to be able to swim. Biking is another great one. Like we haven't been out, but it is fantastic to get out there. But it's tough because when you think of all the extra variables, like these are good things to implement here and there. But even when you think of the bike, like this year, I'm like, I need to go pump my tires. I need to get out and just get it all retuned. Like I have to do a lot for it. Whereas other forms of cardio are just so simple to do. And a lot of people feel the need to overcomplicate it and they need to feel like they're like killing themselves with it and they're just burning a million calories, and if they're not on the floor after pushing sleds for forever, like they didn't do it right, when in reality that's not the case at all. So yeah, there's a lot within cardio, and I've switched over the years to do like so many different forms. I've tried a lot, I've not enjoyed a lot, but I just think it's a matter of figuring it out for yourself, trying to enjoy it as best as possible so you don't dread it, and staying consistent with it over time.
Yeah, and I think it really just comes down to the type of individual you are and what you like and what you don't like. Some people are like, hey, I could jog for forever. I enjoy that. I just don't like sprinting or fast type movements. So like Kyle said, I've had a lot of success previously with Tabata, and I think a really underrated cardio is jump rope. I used to do a lot of jump rope, especially when I was really trying to shred down. And with Tabata, basically what that is, it's like a form of HIIT. You do a short sequence of movement. It could be 5 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever, but hard movement. Like this should be quite hard. You should be quite exhausted. You'd rest for a similar period of time, 10, 20 seconds, whatever it may be. Rinse and repeat for however many cycles. And you can, in 4 minutes, like absolutely nuke yourself, especially going to high exertion. Like I said, the negative there is it takes more out of you physically. So if you're already not recovering great from your lifting or not lifting hard enough, that's where like I would perhaps avoid this. But in general, I think the best thing you can do, and what will perhaps end this question more towards, and what I do with all my clients, like I said, for myself, I do 200 calories burned from cardio 4 times plus a week. And everyone should be doing some cardio because cardiovascular health is indeed important. And that's something you want to address. And it's a different type of fatigue than weightlifting. It's good for your lung health, all these great things. So I'll do 4 times a week. I'll aim to burn 200 plus calories. I'm welcome to do more, but I just want to make sure I'm doing at least that much. And an example of that would be, usually I do that on volleyball. Usually I'll do one really long walk because now it's summer and there's pools. I'll jump in that, and that's good for my shoulder. And like, I honestly don't really like swimming. I swim a lot, like my whole life, played water polo as a lifeguard, but I just like doing a different form of cardio, and I find it fun. And I find it's very difficult. So I like trying to push myself to get to the 200 calories there, see how many laps I can do and all that good stuff, which is absolutely fun. And once again, with the shoulder health, and then other opportunities will present themselves. If randomly friends want to play soccer or pickleball, or if not, I can always go to the gym and bang out my last one on the Stairmaster. So I find having that flexibility is really nice, and it allows you to explore different avenues and make it less monotonous. Because if you've ever done like a more traditional program where you lift and then you're on a treadmill for 30 minutes or Stairmaster or whatever, that's not for everyone. And sometimes it can feel like you're in the gym forever. It's not very exciting. So the more you can make it fun with a long walk, a bike, a pool, and especially embracing seasonal activities, the more enjoyable it can be. And that's where I kind of keep that window open. And if someone likes it, we'll lean more into it. If they don't like it and they're happy to take it from food, you can get quite shredded by doing absolutely zero cardio. So once again, it's a tool, and that's the big thing to really take away here. So that is our first question. Once again, it's hard, it's very open-ended, and there's a lot that goes behind it, but just get out, be active. I really like the adage to try to sweat every day, even if it's not like crazy cardio. But even as I mentioned, like, gardening was a fun thing for me to do. I'm like, I'll burn some calories. I'll get something done I need to at the house. I'll get a sweat in. So be it, right? So if you have any follow-up questions too, we're always happy to receive them. And if you want to submit a question for this episode, you can do so on Instagram. When you go follow us to get that free fat loss guide, just shoot us a DM. If you're thinking it, someone else is probably thinking it, and we would love to add it to our questions list. But now we're going to jump into our quotes. We love sharing a quote every week because I just find a quote is such a little snippet of wisdom, and you can look at it similar you could an art piece, and 2 people could get 2 different things. They can apply to you at different stages in life, and it's a lot of fun really narrowing down on one each week. So really pumped to have this segment. I know this has been like a big favorite. If you're new around here, this is probably one of the most favorite segments. So definitely something we enjoy doing. But what's your quote this week, Kyle?
Yeah, so my quote is actually from a motivational video Josh sent me, and it was from Tom Brady, which I just had to pause it. I was listening this morning. I'm like, okay, I need to write this down right now. But it was, to be successful at anything, the truth is, you don't have to be special. You just have to do what most people aren't. Consistent, determined, and willing to work for it. No shortcuts. Tom Brady. I just think that's so incredible, especially coming from someone who has won so many times over. I mean, I think 7 Super Bowl championships, but even just alone, like, those three things: consistent, determined, and willing to put in work. I love that he even said you don't have to be special. You don't have to be born with some crazy genetics or anything like that. And it's just a really, really good thing to consider is like, if you consistently show up for yourself, and you guys have probably heard me talk about this a million times by now, and I hope that it sits with you in one way or another to just take action and just to continue to show up for yourself. But the people who just show up, they stay the course. Like, it doesn't matter what special cardio you're doing, as long as you're doing it and you're consistent with it. And it doesn't matter what goals you're setting, as long as you're determined to get there and you actually put in that work, you can accomplish absolutely anything. Like, you may not be the Super Bowl champion next or whatnot, but I believe like if you have a fat loss goal, if you have a weight training goal, like you're trying to do a run and you want to accomplish it, like you just have to keep showing up for yourself. You have to be determined, and I promise you'll get there. So that's my quote from Tom Brady today.
Yeah, and in the same motivational video, there's this other guy we like. He'll usually just yell something hype, and he just started yelling like, work harder, become better, work harder, become better. And it's so funny because it really can be that simple, right? And obviously you want to work smarter as well, but as you challenge yourself and you push yourself, that's where you can see more progress. But also that applies to my quote as well, which is a fun spin on it while we're on the topic of working hard. And that, my quote is from James Clear. He's author of Atomic Habits, and he had said, don't just work hard on the right thing. And this is something I've been thinking about a lot this week, because to the point of cardio, even earlier, I know a lot of people that are animals and they do a ton of cardio and they go on these long runs multiple times a week, and they just still don't look good because their diet's just wacky or they're not strength training. And it's hard because you can apply so much effort and misapply it and just totally miss the mark and end up somewhere where it's just not going to be successful. And that's where you really need to narrow in on what is important. I was listening to another podcast, a more business-minded podcast, and the individual was saying he worked with Steve Jobs, and his whole thing was like, there's like, you have to follow the signal. Like, what is calling to you? What do you know you need to get done? And really block out the noise. So they really isolated each day, like, what are the three things in that day that if you got done would really vault you forward? And this can be fitness, this can be aside from fitness, but I do believe it all connects, and that's why this is a Fit, Healthy, and Happy podcast. So if your marching orders for that day, like, you want to work harder, you can work really hard, like I said, and just misapply that effort entirely and like overlook what actually needs to be done, or you can work hard on the things that will actually be movers. So if you haven't been going to the gym, like making a point to get to the gym, beginning some prep, then maybe tackling that big work thing that's been stressing you out, or sending that uncomfortable message that you know you need to send to get something sorted. Like, doing those things will push you so much further than just doing busy work or having misapplied effort. So I really like that example of like following the signal of like what's calling you, and really just continuing to move towards that and trying to block out the extra noise of the nonsense that perhaps shouldn't be taking as much of your attention. So yeah, don't just work hard, work on the right thing, but definitely still work hard.
I'm glad Josh brought that up, because we talk to a lot of you awesome people. We find that there's two reasons a lot of people don't succeed. One end, it's people just don't show up, they don't work hard, they skip the gym, they sleep in. Like, there's some people who are like that, but we also see a lot of people who are showing up. Like, if you check their gym record, they're there 5 times a week. If you check their fridge, they probably have some healthy stuff, but it's just not in the right category. Like, their macros are off a bit. They're not doing the right strength training program. Maybe they're showing up to the gym, but they're not strength training, and they're doing more cardio or spending more time in the change room and sauna, whatever the case is. So it's so important, like Josh said, to cut out the noise. And that's why when I sat down and put together this fat loss guide, I was like, there's so much misinformation out there. There's so many people promoting keto and fasting and fasted cardio, which we'll be talking about, just a million different things. I'm like, how can I simplify it in the best way possible and give you guys all great examples? I can't give you the exact workout plan, and that's what I said in the ebook as well. Like, I can't tell you what to do, but unless I'm working with you one-on-one, but this guide should 100% be able to help you know exactly what to focus on: sleep, stress, like all the stuff that will move the needle. So if you didn't message us, I promise you, this is an amazing guide. I spent weeks on it, and I hope that helps you. So make sure to message us Fat Loss Guide, and we'll send it right over. Yeah, and once again, we paid like a designer to make it really nice and just block out all the noise. So it's a really good, it's not just like a Google sheet or anything like that. Sometimes those are pretty gold as well. Like, even my training hack
hacks free guide I gave recently, like the high level training hacks, like it was a Google sheet, but there's some great info. But this is great info and it's presented really neatly, and you can just get a free ebook, which is always a great bonus. So we're happy to give that. Obviously, it means a lot if you take time to follow us, and Kyle puts a ton of effort really producing amazing reels, really educational, really fun, really informative, alongside stories. Like, we just try to give on our Instagram, and I think it's such a nice companion to this podcast. So if you enjoy the podcast, why not get more from us as well, especially if you do find we're like a light in your day and a bright spot and something you appreciate. It doesn't hurt to have more of that around you. So make sure to shoot us a follow. It's at Colossus Fit. Same art as the podcast, so we're real easy to find, and you can actually see like the exact spelling on the top, because I know Colossus sometimes can be a little daunting to spell out. But now we're going to go into what's just on our mind this week. So I really sat down and I thought, I got to set some big, scary, crazy goals. And I'm like, what are the signals I need to follow? Like, what are the simple goals I can set that are actually really big and really scary? And I did a 52 book challenge that I really enjoyed. I still read very, very regularly. I've been reading some bigger books as well and poking at different books. And there's been a lot of books I've like half finished, but I still definitely read every day, which I'm really happy to say. But I think I'm only at 12 or 13 books for the year. We're about halfway through the year. So I'm definitely pretty far off. And I'm like, okay, what's a crazy goal I could set? I'm like 30. And I'm like, no, that's too easy. So I bumped it up a bit to 40, and that'd be a little more than one book a week. But by me doing that, I know I'm going to get a lot of great new intake of information. I'm really going to just further my mindset. I'm going to have some bigger think behind me. And I know it's going to propel me with everything else I do. So that's one big goal I had. And then I'll be 30 in October, which is exciting. I know Kyle's already there, but I've been thinking about that a lot. It's pretty crazy leaving the 20s into the 30s. And I just want to get just make sure I'm growing always. So my goal is to have the best shape of my life by 30. And it's hard to quantify what best shape is. Do I have the best cardio? Am I the strongest? Do I look the best? But I just want it to be like a clear, there's no debate. It's like, okay, this is the best I've been. So I'm just going to have to win in every area. And that's going to cause me to need to tighten up on a lot of different areas and be hyper aware. And obviously, the more motivated I am, the more motivation I can convey. That'll come from the books as well. So those are like two really big, crazy additional goals I added for mid-year. And I think there's nothing wrong with pivoting from your goals a bit, because I've looked at goals I set when I was 25 to have done by the time I was 30, and I've accomplished a lot of them. A lot of them aren't even as relevant or don't necessarily make sense. Some need to be adjusted. Some I've moved greatly towards, but I'm still not even close to what I had hoped I would be at. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with beginning to get excited about your goals and readjust them. And you really want to make sure you're using them as like guides. And it's not to say when you're on a route or something's happening that there won't be detours, that there won't be inconveniences, that there won't be pit stops. But I think if you set different goals, and especially if you set goals that are really almost unbelievable to achieve, that will require you to take massive action, can be very inspiring. So that's probably my main thought for this week. What do you have, Kyle?
Yeah, that's great. And like when it comes to goal setting, I even just really recommend asking yourself like when we go to school, they say like the what, when, where, how, why, whatever. When you set that goal, ask like, what goal do I want? When do I want to accomplish it by? Why do I want to accomplish it? How am I going to accomplish it? Those things, if you break it down, I promise you, like you'll be blown away when you do accomplish it, because you've thought through it fully and you've taken action on it. But the thing that was on the top of my head, actually, it was this morning, a friend sent me an article, like an Instagram page. It was kind of like those random studies where they just like say all this stuff. It was basically like studies show that if you do one set instead of 3, you get better muscle gain and better results. And it was just like, basically the article is showing that like you do a bunch of drop sets, and anyways, it was just like nonsense more or less when you actually like look into it. But there's just so much of this. Like, this is a pretty big page. It was a fitness page, like lots of comments and stuff like that. I'm just thinking you have to be so careful with that stuff out there, because I could see so many people like just quickly seeing it and being like, oh, one set's better for muscle growth. And a comment actually said it was something like, soon it's going to be better for muscle growth to do absolutely nothing. And I thought that was such a good point, because like even a lot of pages out there, a lot of studies, or studies in quotations, like people just trying to get out there and just do the absolute least amount of work possible. Like even I'd see some people making like videos like you can gain muscle with 5-minute workouts a day, or just all this like nonsense. And it's very appealing, especially to the people who do want to take shortcuts and who don't want to challenge themselves. So the point I'm just trying to get across is you have to be careful with the posts out there, with the pages, with all these headlines. And even a lot of the times they'll have these big headlines and claims to try to pull you in there and just like, get you to be very intrigued by it. And then most people don't look into it and they're just like, all right, I'm going to follow this. So just be careful. That's what I'm going to say. And that's what's been on the top of my head personally.
Yeah. Now we're going to say what's been making us happy. So I think one thing I've really enjoyed, especially with summer, is like booking stuff in advance, paying for it in advance, so you have it to look forward to. And even a bunch of us are Bills fans here, so we're going to go on like a solid group of 8, go watch a Bills game in September, which is going to be a ton of fun. So we're really excited for that. And I think having these little positions of motivation or fuel or a vacation or whatever it may be, even I booked a concert in January that I'm actually going to tomorrow, which is exciting. So it's always nice having these things, and I find they can actually kind of motivate you. They can keep energy up. And I find in general, like if you want to be a happier person, it's like ask yourself what you have to look forward to, like what's exciting, what's making you happy now. And I find in general, the more you can have on the docket and even small events in the upcoming weeks, seeing friends, like all these things are really, really awesome. And it's a great way definitely to keep energy up and to keep yourself quite happy. So if you got nothing planned like in the next year, it's like just start looking like what are tiny little things I can wedge in that look fun. There was like a ad for this Instagram guy I follow who does like comedy, and I saw it and like the tickets were pretty cheap. It was like a month out. I'm like, oh heck yeah, like I'll just do this. This will be fun. I was gonna go with my wife and then she got sick and I'm like, hey, you want to come, Kyle? And he's like, sure. And it was an awesome time. Like it was cool. And I was looking forward to like this random small event that I scheduled in. So I think it's really nice the more you can like fill up your calendar with things that excite you, and it kind of keeps you moving and grooving. And especially with a lot of these events, you're like, I want to look good for this. I want to feel a certain way for this. So it can also be very motivating.
Yeah, there's so many even amazing ways to sprinkle in little cheap things as well. Like there's a lot to look forward to. So that's definitely been fun, as Josh has been planning with me for some of these things as well. The one thing is my dog Dakota, he's awesome. He's got to give him a shout out. I've had him for like 4, maybe 5 years now. And yeah, I was just spending time thinking, I'm like, man, we have so many great memories. He makes me happy. So that's the one thing. Like we have so many great adventures and we've just done a lot together. So that's the main thing that's been making me happy lately. So that's my one thing for this week.
Shout out Dakota. And now we're going to jump into our client shout out. So someone who is perhaps struggling, wasn't where they want to be, who is absolutely killing it now in our program. And once again, this is such an amazing segment. This is probably one of my favorite segments because I love learning from these individuals. Like what was the thing for them that helped them really lock in? Where have they found success? How are they continuing to find success to the point where their transformation is so insane that we're happy to shout them out? So who do we have this week, Kyle?
So this week we actually have Shelby, and I've been working with her one-on-one for just over 12 weeks now. She's 9 pounds down, but the craziest thing is her overall transformation. And even as I'm looking at her spreadsheet, she's actually 4 inches down from her waist. She's about 1 inch down forearms, 2.4 inches on the shoulders. She's somewhere between 10 and 15 inches down overall. And the main thing, as you can see on the screen, and when you check out her Instagram with her transformation, is her body composition is completely different. Like it looks like she's a completely different person, and she's done all of this while traveling, obviously with summer going on. And her biggest thing was she also had to move, which, as a lot of you know, like it can be pretty stressful. She had to do a lot of driving, a lot of packing. There'd be times where we'd have to navigate, we wouldn't have a scale for too long, and just trying to figure it all out. And I even said to her in my check-in with her this past week, I'm like, man, I'm so proud of you, Shelby. Like she just has showed up consistently. She was even sharing that her family and her fiance's family, they had like turkey burgers, and they were having like chicken and like a lot of healthy options. And I loved seeing her overall commitment. And keep in mind, this is also getting ready for a wedding. So her wedding is later this year. So I even said, I was just like, honestly, I'm so proud of you for investing in yourself. And she is doing another 90-day term with me to continuously see results to get ready for that special day. So I just have to give her some credit where credit's due. She showed it consistently. She didn't make excuses, and she's consistently investing in herself. And I think the biggest thing contributing to her success is the overall ability to change, like ability to make adjustments, right? So if we didn't have access to a specific gym, okay, cool. Well, what we're going to do is some body weight workouts. If she didn't have access to a scale, or nutritionally she was on the road, there's just a lot of adjustments we made, and that's what allowed her to stay on track. And she even said, like, in the past, I would just go off the deep end or say, I can't do it this weekend. And she continuously showed up. So shout out to Shelby. I'm so proud of her.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Shout out Shelby for sure. I love the commitment, and it's really easy to say, oh, I'll worry about my fitness when I'm done moving, when I'm done school, when I'm done whatever it is. But there's always something, and that's where you need to learn to navigate through these things, through the challenges, through the kitchen renos, like all the different positions. Like, it's cool even retroactively looking at my life, and when you have a mindset like, I'll find a solution, I'll get through it, because for every excuse you can find, there's also a solution you can find. So always a great thing to remember, and Shelby's definitely demonstrated that. And I think working through that with a coach is so much better, because it's easy to go to doom and misery when you're by yourself. You'd be like, this won't work, it's impossible. But when someone else is like, actually, you could try this, or maybe we'll do this, like, that can always be a good motivator and get you inspired to get the right thing done. But now we're going to jump back into the mailbag for the second question, and this is a big one. We get this one a lot, so I'm really happy to share it again here today, and that is fasted cardio better?
Yeah, this is so common. A lot of people think like it's the secret, and there's so many guys out there promoting it. Long answer short is it's absolutely not better. There's really no main benefits to it. I remember, and I think to this day, there's still people out there that like wake up and they instantly need to do cardio, and they just will post on their story and say fasted cardio done. And hey, that's cool if you want to do it. And I do think for some people it makes sense to do it. Like if your stomach doesn't react well to food in the morning, or if you like immediately wake up and you go for a run or do some form of cardio, like that's totally fine. But really, all in all, the main thing that makes a difference is your overall calorie intake. So by the end of the day, how much did you consume? How much did you move? It doesn't matter of when you did things. It doesn't matter that you did something on an empty stomach. This has been disproven over and over again. In fact, I even made a YouTube video on it in the past on our channel, Colossus Fitness, just talking about all of this and like talking about studies and everything like that. And just, it's been showcased that it absolutely does not matter. So if you're out there and you're thinking that it does, and you're doing it consistently and killing yourself, like trying to do fasted cardio, maybe this is some good news to you that you don't have to do it. But yeah, that's my answer there.
Yeah, that's a perfect answer, because in general, the belief is that I have no food in my stomach, so my body won't burn the food. Instead, it'll have to burn the calories from the fat. And this just isn't the way it works. In a perfect world, that'd be fantastic, and everyone would leverage it all the time. But this was always the belief, especially in the pre-internet, pre-ChatGPT days, or when I guess it wasn't as dominant, and people would just read their fitness advice from like people they met or magazines. But this isn't the way it works. And if anything, it's more of a detriment, because when you don't have fuel to burn, your body actually has more opportunity to become overly fatigued or lightheaded or sick, and that's something you don't want to have happen. You actually want to make sure you have enough glycogen in your system where your body can actually burn that as fuel so you can perform better. And that's where I'm really hesitant with fasted cardio, fasted lifting, is I find it's harder to perform. Like Kyle said, if you just feel better on nothing and you have no issues, no performance issues, you don't get lightheaded, no headaches, power to you. There's nothing wrong with it. And if it helps your adherence because you can push off that first meal, that would be the one benefit. But there's nothing like superior about it. And I know people like to use it like a crown, like, oh, I'm doing fasted cardio, so it's so much better. But like Kyle said, it really isn't. And that has just been disproven, unfortunately. And as exciting as it sounds, it's not the best. And if anything, I personally love cardio post food, especially after a big meal. If you eat like dinner and then you go on a walk, it's so great for digestion. It's amazing the difference when you just eat a massive meal and just lay down. Like, you almost feel worse. Your stomach feels more twisty and turny. But when you just go on a walk or you eat a big meal, then you have a big lift or do some cardio, like, it's just absolutely amazing how you feel like you have that fuel. You feel the digestion taking place better. Walking is really incredible for digestion. So that's where I kind of do this the opposite. I'll try to do cardio after a big meal, and I find that's personally where I feel the best. Obviously, waiting a reasonable amount of time where it's not going to like destroy you from instantly eating, then trying to jump into cardio. But yeah, anything else you want to add there?
Nope, that was absolutely perfect. And now let's jump into the last question, which is, do you need 8 hours of sleep?
So in general, it's hard to give advice, like generalized advice, because everyone is so different. Like even if I give advice here and I say you should be doing 10,000 steps, you might 10,000 steps a day, you might be 90. That just might not be realistic for you, and that might be way overkill, right? So it's hard with these generalized numbers. And keep in mind, like most things are suggestions, right? Like, and everyone is so different. Everyone has different intensities, different recoveries, different ages, different hormonal balances. So there's so much that goes into it. And things like 10,000 steps, 8 hours of sleep, like these are general guidelines for you to start with and then play around with. So no, you don't need 8 hours of sleep. I still aim towards 8 hours of sleep. And in general, I think a great rule is if you try to go to bed early to where you can wake up before your alarm, so you wake up naturally, you're at a pretty good place. Whereas if you're waking up, you're groggy, you want to stay in bed, it's killing you, you likely need more sleep. And it's been proven that some people actually need closer to 10 hours of sleep. Some people can function with 5. What I will say is the hesitancy here is it's so easy to see yourself as an exception to the rule, when in reality, it's a lot more rare than you think. And all the time I'll hear, hey, I can drink and I sleep amazing. I can have caffeine right before I go to bed and it doesn't affect me at all. And I understand that you're falling asleep and maybe you're having a long duration of sleep, but duration is actually a bit of a misnomer, because you do better to have deeper, high quality REM sleep at a shorter duration than a longer duration of bad sleep where perhaps you're waking up a ton, you have alcohol in your system, you have a lot of caffeine. Like caffeine has a pretty long half-life and can affect your sleep more than you know. Even if you're falling asleep, the deepness of that sleep, and that's harder to track, but I find it doesn't need to be that complicated. For me, I know when I need to get in bed on time. I know I feel my best between 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Any more than that, I actually feel worse and more groggy. So I try to just be reasonable with that. But I do find if I go to bed, I cut off caffeine early, I've done some good activity in that day, I have sunlight and I have a good sleep, I feel my best. And I think there's no better scale than when you wake up, do you feel rested? Like you can't beat that scale of success. And if you're feeling rested, you're feeling good every day, it's such a difference maker. Whereas if you're waking up and you're still feeling groggy, you think you could sleep more, that's where you need to play with things. And like anything else, I would try playing a lot. I try going to bed early, I try going to bed late. Everyone has different schedules. Perhaps you work nights and like you have sleep during the day, like it's a whole different thing. Or your kids, you have exceptions. But in general, the one thing you can most often control is how early you go to bed. So for me, that's something I try to explore. I know some people like waking up at different times, but I would experiment around, see what feels best for you, see where you feel the most rested. Start with that goal of like 8 hours, that nice general goal. See if that's too much, try a little bit less, try a little bit more, and really narrow in where you feel the best. And if you're really neglecting sleep, you're really potentially damaging your hormones, you're damaging your potential output for the gym, your recovery, and being sleep deprived is just the worst thing. Anyone who's been sleep deprived for a few days, you can attest how everything's like a blur and you just feel a fraction of yourself. So the more you can narrow in on what's best for you, the better. But start with these guidelines and move from them. Some with 10K steps. Like if you're doing 4,000, as I mentioned before, aim for 5. It might be totally unrealistic for you to go to that scale. If 10,000 is a joke and you live in the city, you bop around, you're like, this isn't even hard, I want to go on more walks, do 15 by all means. There's no issue with doing a little bit more, but just start with these things. Don't like see them as like this gold standard, and just start to work from them and make them fit for your life.
Yeah, I'm such a big fan of focusing on what you can actually control. Like there's a lot of variables and a lot of things that will come up. Like obviously if you have kids, or even I was telling Josh yesterday, my dog, the other one, the young one, he started barking. I was like, what's going on here? And it really disturbed my sleep. But I was like, so there'll be some things. It could be fireworks. It could be loud noise around you. Like there's some things you can't always control. But like Josh said, the main thing is like the time that you go to bed. And even for me, it's like making sure I don't watch an extra episode or something on YouTube that I was like really into, or even work, like try not to like leave something to the last minute where I have to do some programming or something at like 10:30 p.m. or whatever. Really trying to make sure to control that is such a big difference maker. I can control the temperature in my house. I can control the light in my house. Like there's a lot that I can control, and I try not to pay attention to the hours of sleep as much as like how I'm feeling, because it can definitely like add up where it's like a little bit annoying, where there's times where like, baby gets up earlier, or, maybe I do get to bed a bit later from going out with some buddies, or like, we're out at volleyball, or, maybe we do poker here and there. I'm like, I try not to pay attention to that exactly, and just really focus on the metric of like the time I'm going to bed, and how I'm feeling. And that alone makes a big difference. But I know there's so many people out there who will just instantly shoot it away. If I'm like, hey, we could try this. They're like, no, I can't do that. Like I have to work. Like I have so many things to do. It's like, well, let's try to figure out ways where we can just optimize and at least focus on the quality. And that alone will make such a big difference. So yeah, very good question. And I know it's very open-ended, but hopefully that makes sense.
I love what Kyle said there about just being receptive to trying something new. And like, it's hard letting go of these things. If you love having coffee at 5 when you get home from work, I can understand how it can be very hard to remove that attachment. Or if you like wanting down with a glass of wine, knowing that that does affect your sleep, it's almost like you want to ignore that it does, but it's worth trying. Like, try it for a week. If you feel no better, keep living your life, whatever. But I assure you, like, that's why I like looking at science. Like, you'll look at what's there, what's a fact, and then you start to apply it, and you can get the experience as well, and you go, okay, this makes sense. But you need to be receptive to actually taking baby steps to make change. And like, you may not even know how much you're missing out on if you can further optimize sleep. Like, sleep is definitely one of the most underrated components of building a really fit, healthy, and happy physique. And this connects all the dots. If you sleep better, you're less irritable. If you sleep better, you can train harder. If you sleep better, you recover more. Like, these are all such important things. And sleep takes work, and people are too defensive about it because they'll say, well, I like watching my shows till 1 a.m. I like sleeping in till I'm good and ready. I like those other things, late coffee. I like espresso martini, whatever it is. But you need to start really acknowledging these things and figuring out within your schedule how you can optimize it more. And even like with kids, I don't know when my kids will wake up, but I do know I can go to bed earlier and give myself a better shot at actually succeeding and getting a big sleep. Or I could just be lazy and say, oh, I hope they'll wake up late today. But like, hope isn't a strategy. So you need to begin to put in that work to see that change. And you need to, unfortunately, sometimes have some sacrifice, look to change schedules. It can be uncomfortable, but just see it as a little test where you try it for like a week and you can move from there. But that is this week's episode of Motivation Monday. I really do hope you enjoyed it. Once again, totally free 33-page fat loss ebook available for you on Instagram. Hit us up with that right now at ClossFit, COLOSSUSFIT. Follow, shoot a DM, say fat loss guide. We'll send that right over to you, and make sure you have that ready to go. So thanks for tuning in. Peace out.